Hello, VX control team, this is Edison, and I will be showing you how to run a motor using the VX code IDE for, well, V5. So I have the application open right here. Unfortunately, every time you can't see, it's kind of like Scratch. You kind of just drag and drop in here. What we want to do is we want to go to the files and start a text project. Of course, don't save that. I'll be using C++. And so we now have a text development environment. So to program in VX, let's start with configuring a few things. As you can see here, you can add all your devices. It ranges from controllers, sensors, motors, all that stuff. And you also have a print console and a help icon if you need those. So let's start with configuring controller. I'm not even gonna touch anything here. I'm just gonna start that. I'm gonna add in a motor because it's a motor that will be driving. Now, my motor specifically has the 100 RPM gear cartridge. Just select this based on whatever the mechanical team has put in there, or you can just look at the motor. If you can access it, this spot that is red that actually changes with the color when you swap the gear cartridge and or the cartridge, sorry, and you can very easily identify as long as you can see it. If you can't, well, ask your control team, well, mechanical team. So just call it motor 1, and there we have it. Alright, so in order to start, let's have a main loop. So this is just your standard real-time robot system. You got your control, include the library using the VX namespace, and it just gives you a main function, and that's it. So of course, let's add a while loop. Let's just set it to while true. Now, so we have a motion tab here. I believe this will only appear if you have the motor configured, and so if you can't find it, check if you have the motor correctly configured. Alright, so let's start with some of those functions. So we the main thing that we need to worry about is motor.setVelocity. Today what we'll be doing is trying to control a motor's velocity based on a controller input. So this is very important. Let's take a look at the function. So at any all those question marks, you can just press them and it'll show what the functions are for. So you can actually see here it does give you a set velocity, just accepts from -100 to 100. And also it does tell you, say the velocity value, wait, hold up, where is it? Yes, there it is. Set velocity will set the speed of a V5 gear motor or motor group, but it will not cause the motor or motor group to move. Which that means is if you just have set velocity in your while loop, the motor actually doesn't move. It just sets its target velocity and that's it. So what you want to do is you want to include set velocity, and you have to make it spin forward. Did they upgrade the for function? No. Okay, just use the default one. Yep. So you also have to make it spin forward, and then it will start spinning. Like I said, we will want to use a controller to control those. So controller, I believe, is under sensing. If we go down, it's controller, and then you have axes or you have buttons. Let's take a look at the controller. So we have 4 axes on the thumbsticks. We have buttons. Those are I think X, Y, A, B. Is this a Nintendo logo? Whatever. And you have up, down, left, right. You also have the left and right 2 buttons. So I want to control it using the 3rd axis. So I will just drag this in. Of course, you can type it out, but just dragging it in might as well, because I'm not very familiar with the VX library. Alright. You drag it in, and then it is This basically is a function that returns the controller's position. Of course, you can't use it by itself, so I'm just going to put it in the percent for the motor velocity. Alright, and just as good practice, I'll add a wait function. Now this one, they actually time it in seconds, and I do have to specify seconds in the end. I tried milliseconds, it didn't really work for some reason. Maybe I just spelled it wrong. So this should be able to drive our motor. Now that is the software side done. Reminder that we selected a controller and the motor on port 1. So let me swap to the camera. Alright. So what I have here is the control system. We have the brain. We have a battery. A controller. I have some cables. I also have a radio for communication between those two. I also have a motor. You can see the gear cartridge is red inside. So the way we can connect those, obviously battery goes into the brain. I can connect it. Should be good. Radio also goes into the brain. And the radio can go on any of the smart ports that you have here. I'm going to plug it in over here because it's left out. Motor, we configure it to be on port 1, so that's what I'm going to do. You can see that there are actual numbers in them. The controller, I'm just going to connect via a micro USB cable onto the computer. I'm going to long press this button to make it, the brain start up. The controller might start up automatically when you plug it in. That is fine. Now you want to check if you have the pairing. Oh, I don't think you can see this. I want to check if you have the controller paired with the brain. This is the controller. If it's only the brain, that means it's not paired. If it's not paired, just take out like a spare cable. I'm taking out a motor in this case. I'll just connect the brain with the controller. And then as soon as I take it out, it should start connecting via the wireless radio. So I am free to download the program, and for download, there's a big button here that just says download. You just download it. If it asks you to save your project, if you're working on an actual project, you remember to save it. I'm not going to save in this case. I'm just going to wait for it to finish downloading. Once it's done downloading, your screen will go to flashbang mode again. You can press start on the controller and we'll start. And axis 3, and whenever I move the axis, the motor starts spinning. Alright. So that's your basic control system for VX3C, but we can go a little bit more in depth. Let's come back to the IDE, and here I'm just going to add a small change. Do they have a braking function? Yes. So I'm going to add this, and what this does, if we look here, brake, is that whenever this velocity goes back to 0, it should brake. It should stop the motor in its tracks instead of just letting it coast. So right now, let's run it again. If I go full speed, stop now. it's still close to roll. It's up now, close to roll. Alright, so this behavior is going to change when I download this code. Hopefully. Alright. And now whenever I stop, it stops instantly. So this is very helpful on drivetrains. Normally your drivers might not want the robot to coast whenever they stop. They want it to brake. So this will help combat that. Alright. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching the video, and good luck.